Welcome to PowerDrift. Today we have the brand new Honda Highness CB350 and the Royal Enfield Meteor. Yes, I'm still struggling with the Highness name, but in this video we'll tell you what's good, what's terrible, what shakes loose, what will rock your world, and what Varun Painter is up to. If you haven't, subscribe to PowerDrift now, hit the bell notification so that we can send you India's best automotive content.
Editor Saab, what are we doing? The PDArmy is asking for a CB versus Meteor comparo. Where is the Highness? Thode calls karo na, please.
Bro, Praja Raja ko order nahi deti hai. When the Highness needs to arrive, it will arrive and then we'll do the story. In any case, it's not like there's signal here.
I'm getting a call. Kya signal? Wait, hold on. Sorry. Hello? Yeah, Varun speaking. You're calling from Royal Brothers. Okay. CB350. You're sending it here? Okay, perfect. Thanks. Highness is happening. जो आप नहीं कर सके वो मैंने कर दिया.
Thank you. But if the Highness is coming, should we continue to talk or should we go ride the bike?
Definitely right. Chalo.
Come on then.
The immense success of the Royal Enfield has put a target on its back. Honda's first arrow is the CB350 and the quiver is coming from its big wing network as part of the silver wing plan. The CB350 is likely to be the cheapest motorcycle in that showroom. Watch out, Royal Enfield.
And Royal Enfield is prepared. They're promising at least one new variant every quarter for the next 7 years. The crucial J-series engine has debuted on the Meteor and soon it will be on other motorcycles too. In fact, the engines are the most crucial part of this comparison test.
Honda engines are refined, it is no secret. There is a little vibration that you will feel as you reach that indicated top speed of 130 km per hour, but I can assure you that it is no problem at all. Along with this engine is a sound that Honda has tried to mimic through the classic 350. I like it, I love it when it's at lower revs. I do not like it as much when it's in the 3-digit number, but that's a personal preference. I'm really surprised to say that the CB350 has a weak bottom end, but it does come to life when you're in the mid-range and as we inch towards that top speed number. When you pair it with the taller gearing that the Highness has to offer, you will have to do frequent gear changes when you're riding it in the city or if you stay in an area where there's a lot of hill climb. Now this gearing issue can be solved through a sprocket change, but that is something that we'll have to decide once we get that on. So what the Highness does not excel at, the Meteor does it very well.
Yes, and in fact, if you think of the Highness as David Hasselhoff, all top end, the Meteor is Gerard Butler. The engine spread of power is designed for bottom and mid, and honestly the red line arrives before anything you call a top end is exactly how I put it the last time. And from that perspective, it's just easier to ride the Meteor in almost every situation. So in the city, stick it in second and third and forget about the gearbox entirely as you just open and close the throttle and it works. Out on the highway, fourth and fifth, you're doing easy speeds. The difference is the CB shows 130 on the meters, which the Meteor shows as 122, but they're more or less the same speed. So there's no real difference in performance, but it's just easier to ride the Meteor by miles. That brings us to the question of refinement, and they're about the same. The CB is a little bit better, but the Meteor is smooth and refined. It can sound busy, but that's about it. So if you think about it, in acceleration terms, the Meteor is ahead. In refinement terms, it's close enough, and that means I would actually rate the Meteor's engine as being better than the CB's engine for what these motorcycles do. Surprised? We are.
The Meteor is very fuel efficient and it looks like the Honda's tuned for that too. Both engines are relaxed in feel, offering a generous spread of torque. The difference is in how the spread is laid out. Both bikes, it must be said, could have had more punch though. They're nice, but given how big our highways are now, both could have had a little more performance.
But when you add the engines to the frames and look at how the bikes ride, the differences become larger. They are simple frames with basic suspension, but the CB is an upright naked, while the Meteor is a cruiser with more weight on the rear wheel. You can't stop me now. Neither aims to be a cornering god, and just like the engines, the intention is to offer a stable, confident, easy handling dynamics package.
When I first looked at the CB350 in pictures, it looked small, but when I saw it personally, it's actually a big motorcycle. It looks as if it's got a long wheelbase. But in spite of all of this, it turns really well.
So her longness is doing well around corners.
Her longness is definitely happy in the corners. You know, motorcycles that have wider handlebars turn easily because you can just push and it dips in. This, in spite of having a smaller handlebar, is a, let me just say it, corner-friendly motorcycle. And I think a large contributing factor to the way the CB350 handles is going to be the weight.
I'm not surprised because Hondas generally carry their weight really well, but I'm surprised that the Meteor does that really well too. So in the engine department, it's already showed that the gearing overcomes the 10 kilo disadvantage that the Meteor carries. Honestly, the 10 kilos are not really visible when you're going around corners either. So you are sitting in the cruiser position where your hands are high, feet are forward. It's kind of weird for cornering, but when you start cornering, you realize the grip levels are very good. The predictability and trustworthiness of the motorcycle is very good. Anybody who goes fast, they're going to run out of ground clearance before they run out of anything else. But when it comes to the brakes, I think the Meteor could have had a little bit more bite from the brakes, because here, when I'm braking, I have to go a lot into the lever to get it to slow down how I want it. When you do that, there's no lack of force or feedback, but I think that brake can stand to have a little bit more bite.
What I expected from the braking department of the CB, it does exactly that. There's no drama, there's no delay, it's got good bite, it stops where I want it to stop, the ABS isn't intrusive. So as an overall picture, I think the CB definitely has better braking than the Meteor 350, though only marginally.
Correct. And I think even in handling dynamics totally, they're very close to each other in that sense, and honestly, I'm not surprised. The Meteor is wonderful. It's simple to ride whether you're throwing it around or just riding swiftly and covering miles. For a cruiser, especially in India, that's terrific and reflects good engineering. In comparison, the CB is neutral and willing as Hondas usually are. The 19-inch front wheel on the CB is definitely a Royal Enfield influenced choice, but I can't help but imagine that a pair of 17s would have created a more lively motorcycle. But when you leave the city behind and up the pace, things don't quite go to plan. When you're on fast roads like this, honestly, I was expecting the CB to have a bigger advantage than it is showing, because at least it's got a top end, right? The Meteor is like bottom, mid, red line. But when you combine tall gearing and a tall fifth, it does give you the advantage of a large cruising range. So from 80 to something like 110, the CB is very comfortable to do on the highway. But at these speeds, you can't really overtake anything anymore because there's no acceleration left for the motorcycle to give you. So anything that you need to pass, you're going to have to make at least 2 gear changes. And I'm surprised because I was expecting more from the CB, you know.
In that case, the cruising speed on the Meteor is pretty similar to the CB350, which is about 90, 95, 100. But when it comes to overtaking, you don't need to really shift gears as much as the CB. At max, the worst case scenario, you have to just shift down 1 gear, get on the gas, overtake, slot in a higher gear and just continue riding. That's the cruising bit. But I think ergonomically as well, the Meteor 350, it's not as comfortable as the CB350, seat-wise and position-wise, because naturally it's a cruiser, so you have a laid-back style. RE's got an aftermarket touring seat in their catalogue, which might help things or improve things a little bit. But look at the pillion seat. It's short, it's squeezed in, and I don't think the pillion's going to have a good time as much as the rider is having.
That's true, and I think if you look at it even in terms of format, this is a naked motorcycle that's a cruiser, and a naked motorcycle is more versatile by design. So, I mean, if I had a bad road, I could stand up and absorb it. I can move forward or backward in the seat, you know, move around. But a cruiser sort of fits you into a position, and in the United States that would be okay because the roads are smooth and you can sort of sit back and let the bike absorb all of that.
Correct.
But in India, I think this is the motorcycle that do more for you. But once again, I come back to the same conclusion that the Meteor's engine actually has more to give you than the CB350's engine, and that's a surprise. The surprises don't stop.
They continue.
I don't know what Shumi is trying to convince you with, but the CB definitely has better ride quality. Honda motorcycles generally feel stiff and so does the CB. But when you hit the big bumps, you start to realize just how good the setup is.
Varun's definitely having a better time once the roads go bad. You see, the weakest link for the Meteor is definitely its ride quality, and that's true for most cruisers in general. They can't offer superb ride quality without significantly sophisticated suspension. In fact, I might even say that Royal Enfield did a good job within the constraints of the format.
trade-offs are visible in how both bikes are feature spec'd too. Honda adds traction control, for example, while Royal Enfield has Bluetooth navigation with its own screen.
And Honda's traction control system is pretty basic with heavy-handed, almost on-off interventions, not unexpected at this price. But do you really need it for this level of performance? Well, tell us in the comments.
And Honda's Bluetooth system is sort of incomplete. It's only on the top model and it doesn't work at all unless you have a helmet headset. The Royal Enfield Tripper also works better if you get a headset, but it works as soon as you buy the Meteor.
The visual cues on the little screen work after you get used to them. The connection is fast and easy. The app, well, it does need some work, but this is a superb version 1 by all counts.
Three variants for the Meteor 350, pricing starts at 1.75, goes up till 1.9. Two variants for the Honda Highness CB350, pricing starts at 1.85, goes up till 1.9. I got that correct. Yeah. Don't worry too much about the variants because it's all cosmetic for the Meteor 350. But when you pay that extra sum for the deluxe variant of the CB350, what you're getting is a dual tone paint, you're getting Bluetooth navigation, which is only audio and you require a headset, so you'll have to buy one separately. And the top version of the Highness is extra horny.
Well put.
As far as availability goes, the Meteor 350 is available from its existing Royal Enfield showrooms, but Honda decided to take a different approach and said, hey, you know what, we're going to sell this from the beginning showrooms, which on paper aren't a lot in the country. So if you stay in a city which is far away from a big wing showroom, there's going to be a lot of travel, test riding it, buying it, getting it serviced and maintained. We like the CB350, but you should buy it only if you have a strong affection towards the brand or if you want to go that extra mile to have this baby in your garage.
Or if you're lucky enough to be living in a city where there is a big wing now, but Honda has promised 50 by 2021 March, and by then there's one in your city. So big wing, but small wingspan is where it's at right now. Now, when it comes to these two motorcycles, we definitely prefer the CB, and surprisingly, it's not because it's a Honda, it's only because this is a naked motorcycle, a more versatile platform than the Meteor, which is a cruiser. So think about that. When this engine moves into the classic 350, we have to assume that it's going to make the same kind of leap that is there between the Thunderbird and the Meteor. When the classic 350 makes that jump, the reasons to buy the CB will become even weaker than they are now. The Meteor as a cruiser is already running this motorcycle close. So I think Honda missed an opportunity. They had the chance to build the world's greatest ever 350cc classic roadster. Yeah, it would be a motorcycle with, I don't know, 5 bhp more, 10 Newton meters more, a few more features, something like that. And you'd be blown away by that motorcycle. But what we've got instead is the world's best classic 350, which currently is manufactured by Honda, something that Royal Enfield might fix in as little as 6 months from now, which is a very strange situation to be in. So what Honda really wanted was to take this motorcycle and make it the king of the segment. But I think what they've got on their hands is just a prince.
Here's the contest question for this week's Big Bad Bikes giveaway. If the Meteor 350 has 3 variants, how many variants does the Highness CB350 have? All you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. Follow us on Instagram at @PowerDrift. You have to be a subscriber of the channel on YouTube and you have to get the correct answer. Drop the answer in the comment section below and 5 of you guys get a chance to win Polisport's Supermoto Fender from, like we said, Big Bad Bikes. Cheers and good luck.